And we're back.
Huzzah.
So, it is just after sort of midday as you return into town. And yeah, basically, the town is fairly quiet. There's basically only a small number of people sort of out in the streets. Some of whom seem to be doing all sorts of general sort of small town chores. And yeah, you return to Kelariis' house and basically find her mother is there. Sort of the house is like a little bit tidier. It's a tiny house, so it's very difficult for it to be like completely tidy. But it has been tidied.
V's confused at the notion of having to tidy your house because she doesn't have a...
Yes.
It's like, why must everything be clean?
Because it makes it look like you are a hard-working and pleasant person.
But
Although you're not
anyway?
you're not completely alien to the idea of tidying things, because I mean, like, part of your general life before you were an adventurer was just going around and sculpting the grove.
That's fair. That's also for fun.
Yes.
They cleaned up.
Some people clean for fun.
Yeah, that's...
Some people clean because it de-stresses them.
That is definitely not Kelariis' mother.
No!
Oh well.
Is there anything that we can help with?
Yes. She invites any of you who are willing to help with preparations for an evening meal with the clan.
Oh boy, it's everybody.
Well, it's not everybody, because a lot of the clan are not. They're like 2 towns over, but
Yeah, fair. Well, I mean, like,
it's your family, the cousins, and a couple of extraneous, like, once removed relatives that live nearby.
yup, fair enough.
I think, yeah, we'll help out.
Yup, dinner prep. Here we go.
Okay.
Make rabbit curry!
Holy shit.
Call back.
Call back.
Well,
Rabbit curry.
from the thing that is being prepared, it seems to mostly be fish.
Okay.
Fish curry.
Fish curry.
Is fish curry a thing?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Fish curry is a thing, honestly.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
well, I've had it. So.
If it exists,
It has a name, but I can't think of it.
it's called fish curry.
No, but it has a specific name.
Depends on which country you're in.
That is true.
Mm.
So yeah, I guess you guys spend the afternoon preparing for this do. At one point, you are the strongest amongst you are, well, which is probably just,
Everybody except Fee.
well, it's a 2-person job. You need to basically go and get the long table and benches from the hall and like bring them outside.
Done it, Clarice.
Alrighty.
Wait, you wanna... Did you just say Grim and Clarice? Because if you want to lift a table, you don't pick the gnome and the dragonborn.
Yeah, that's
No, I
exactly.
said, come on then, Kelariis.
Oh, okay. Well, you're still pretty small, but it's...
Yeah, but-
Work.
Yeah, but I've got an extra foot on Grim, and I've got a higher strength score.
Or Grim can use the belt.
For 1 minute. We have
Yeah.
1 minute to move
We
this
have 1
table.
minute, move fast!
Yeah. Speed table movement.
Table tomorrow.
There is a great deal of to me, to you going on.
Yep. We're the Chuckle Brothers now.
To me, to you.
See?
Oh dear, oh dear.
Right, enough of the Chuckle.
Enough of the Chuckle Brothers. Yeah, no, so you guys set up this table, it starts being laid out with all sorts of food. Like a number of people are sort of like come past and like engage in conversation with your mother Kelariis in Draconic, and it's just sort of like a I guess they'd talk to you as well, because they're like they're sort of like, oh, it's so good to see you, like we'd heard the news and we were all sort of worried for you. But yes, after a couple of hours of preparation, it is probably about 4 in the afternoon, at which point you notice a small number of Dragonborn coming back from the beach, carrying like stacked boxes of fish. Amongst whom is Kelariis' dad, who comes back and is sort of like greets you all again, hugs Kelariis, and is sort of like, oh, it's a shame you didn't come out with us. It was a good day.
Oh, I'm glad it was today. Hopefully tomorrow as well.
Oh, well, with extra hands, I'm sure we'll have plenty of fish to spare by the end of the day. Yeah, and he sort of stacks up. They go into the hall, into the. You basically know that there's like a room in the back of the town hall that is just like, it gets stacked with boxes of fish, and that's what the cart takes in the morning to the market. Yeah, so I guess at that point, shortly after the boxes are put away, your dad comes back with I think, yeah, three cousins that you recognise, who are they are riptides, but they're not Greysurges, so they are like is it like second generation cousins, and they're all like significantly older than you. Like they are like probably in their late 20s. No, wait, no, they'd be older than that.
Like Dragonborn age or like human age?
In their Dragonborn age, they're like they're a good 10 years older than Kelariis. They are 10 years older than Kelariis. So
Damn, pretty old for like Dragonborn.
No, like they're not quite
Like,
middle
not
age.
pretty old, but it's like adults.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
And-
proper.
Yeah, they're all sort of like, they're all like fairly sort of weathered. They've clearly been like fishermen for most of their lives. But yeah, they sort of greet you, and there's like a deal of hugging. It's a little bit more like awkward than with your family, because it's just like, oh, the last time I saw you, I was like a little kid, just
God,
like
I feel
sort of running around in short shorts and nothing else.
Wow, I feel that awkwardness. That's like
Mm.
me going home to family reunions.
Yeah, this is basically this is what it is.
I
Yeah,
feel
it's-
that deep in my soul.
It's literally like when you see really, really distant relatives that don't live near you.
Oh god, yeah. Actually, I know that. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a weird feeling.
shit.
Like
So
I
I know
remember,
your
I remember
face.
I know your face, and I remember conversations we've had, but that's about it.
Yo.
I couldn't remember anything else about you.
Okay.
I couldn't even remember what you sounded like.
Well, that feeling persists the later the evening gets, as like people start sort of like gathering around the table and like chatting, and there's like a couple of things of like drink brought out from the town centre. Like people from the town are sort of like they're hanging about and sort of like participating in the conversation, but they're not like they're not invited to the party, but they're just sort of like, oh, hello, you're having a party. Oh, would I like a drink? Yeah, sure, okay. And then I'm like, okay, I've got to go now, bye. And it's just sort of like, because you're having a party basically in the middle of the street. But
You know, as you do.
yeah, well, this is pretty normal for you.
Yeah, yeah. Host it in our own home.
Yes. But yes, after a couple of hours, like as the sun begins to set, there's still no sort of sign of your brother or the rest of the family yet. You sit down and start to have a meal, and then like halfway through this sort of like communal meal, your brother arrives with a couple of other family members that you sort of like, it's like, oh, this is your like great uncle once removed, and you're just like, yes, yes, pleasure to meet you. And they're just like, they know who you are, but they don't know you, so it's just sort of like this awkward family gathering reunion.
God, classic.
I'm here for the other people.
Yeah, well, you gather as sort of like it's a Riptide do. It's a thing that happens. But yeah, you guys have it's essentially a small party for your safe return.
Huzzah.
Oh, that's so awkward because like Kelariis was like, man, how many people are actually just pissed at me for what happened?
That too.
That is a question that is difficult to deduce.
Yeah.
Because almost certainly some of them are.
Yeah.
And
but
none of
they're
them
not
want to
gonna,
say
like...
it to your face.
Yeah. Oh man. I think. Oh god, Kelariis probably. Oh. I'm trying to think how she probably actually spends more time with like literally her parents and brother and her friends, her traveling companions.
Yeah.
Than family, because she doesn't know any of them.
I like to think that in this party, there's sort of all these Dragonborn and just the rest of Second Age sort of huddled up together. Like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah.
No, definitely, yeah.
Food. Swimming was nice. We're just sort of standing there huddled up like four.
Yeah, especially as the most of you can't understand half of the conversation and like the talking that's going on.
Yeah, Kelariis, you might have to teach us some basic phrases on the road.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and I think I probably try to talk in common when I can for the benefit of my friends who cannot speak Draconic. But I don't know how often that is with the rest of my family, just because I don't know how much common.
A lot of your family sort of like they speak like a couple of words.
Ah.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's sort of a hello, how are you? And that's about as far as they get.
They're trying. They're trying.
Not much call for it this far south.
Yeah, fair enough.
Because like you get some in your military education, but bear in mind that with the most of these being in like late 20s, 30s, 40s, they haven't used their military training in a long time. So it's like it's a language you learned like literally half a lifetime ago for most of them. But yes. I think at some point, like your, I guess your dad would sort of like stand up and give like a little toast.
Jesus.
And he's not a great speaker. He's trying, bless him. Like he like puts a little bit of comment in there where he turns to you guys and he's like, and we are thankful to have friends. And they sort of like turns to you, Kelariis, and it's just like he asks for something to be translated, and you have to sort of like translate it, and he's like, yeah, okay. But yeah, like he generally they give thanks to Bahamut for your safe return, which kind of like you're just sort of like yeah, okay, thanks. That's really nice.
Definitely.
A bit awkward.
Yeah.
As if this wasn't awkward enough.
And like there's sort of like there is like a little clap, but like some people just like clap for a little bit that's just a little bit too short.
Yeah.
It's just like yeah, okay.
V will make up for that with excited clapping.
Okay.
Especially if she doesn't know what he's saying, she will
Yeah,
definitely clap.
he says something, raises a cup, and everybody's like sort of like hesitantly starts clapping, and you're like, oh, we're supposed to clap.
Yeah. I like that.
Plus,
Perfect. I'll join you in that one then.
Yeah, it's like the whole thing is like a little bit awkward, just as a theme.
I'll clap along with V to make him feel better.
He knows we don't understand what the fuck he's saying.
Yeah, but we appreciate. We've got to let him know we appreciate the effort.
Yeah.
And he tried a bit of common.
That's true.
He really tried. I'm gonna give him that.
Yeah. Like his comment is not as bad as everybody else's. He occasionally there are like words or phrases he's just like I don't know. It's those moments where Helena turns to Vinny and is like, "What is blah 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 in English?"
Yeah.
Yep.
oh yeah.
And they both sit there and go,
And Minnie says it's so and so, and Helena goes, "No, it isn't."
Amazing.
That's you two speaking Dutch in a nutshell, by the way.
I mean, us two speaking Dutch in a nutshell is like half the time we barely understand each other.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Groove.
I'm sorry,
What?
what?
Nothing.
I genuinely didn't hear that, but whatever.
It's fine.
I think he just went.
I coughed over the wood microwave, but it's fine.
Oh. Yeah,
Oh.
classic. Anywho.
Anyway,
Yeah. Anyway, that's not talking
So-
language.
yes, there is a party. It is sufficient. It peters out.
Okay, but is the food good first? This is
Oh, the food is
important
good.
part.
The food is
Party,
definitely
okay.
good.
A scale of 1 to 10.
Hey, we helped prepare that. It's amazing.
Good point. It must be a 10. We helped. She must have
It
got advantage on the roll.
is. It is an 8.
Oh, cool. I'll take it.
Yeah. So, a makeshift party in the street is had. It goes on for a couple of hours, and then it comes to a end as it sort of peters out, and everyone's like, "Oh, I've got to go home now."
As
The
is the
really
case with all
awkward
parties.
goodbyes, like
Yeah, it's like,
see
"Bye.
you, okay.
Thanks for coming."
Yeah.
Yep.
I think like it gets to the end of the night, and your dad's like, "Well, it was nice of some of them to come at least."
Holy shit. Yeah, well. Yup.
Still, we mustn't be too overly invested in what other people think.
Yeah, I found that makes it a little easier sometimes to not think about that sort of stuff.
Well, that's kind of moments. Yeah, I've noticed.
I think he holds you like close and like puts his head like down next to yours, and like he does that as sort of like a way to sort of like whisper to you, and he just sort of like it's not like super quiet, so like anybody who's standing nearby can sort of hear, but he just sort of says as long as you know that we don't feel any what's the word? I can't even think of the word now.
You don't harbor any negative feelings?
Yeah, as long as you know we don't hold anything against you for what you did. We might not understand what happened, but we respect your decision.
I think like I think Kelariis has been carrying like a lot of tension, even if she didn't realize it, and I think hearing even one of her parents say that is like all of that just goes. And she's like, "Oh God, I was so tense."
Didn't realize how tense I was until that moment.
Yup.
Just a big sigh.
Yeah. She like gives him a hug. Thank. Maybe I can try to explain it better now that I'm here.
There's no rush.
How much taller is he than I am? Just out of curiosity.
Like, he is, but sort of the same height as you. There's maybe like an inch or two in it. Maybe like inch and a half.
God. Man, heights are weird. Okay.
Yep.
But yeah. So, yeah, I guess you guys go to bed. The next day comes round, and I presume you want to go fishing with your dad.
Yeah. Fishing.
Cool. So, you know that, like, basically you can't really fit many other people in the boat. Do you want to try and take somebody else fishing with you, or are you just going to go by yourself?
I guess I'd probably offer if anybody else wanted to come. Like, I'd check if it was okay, knowing that he's already probably on somebody else's boat.
Well, when you ask, he sort of says, "Oh no, there should be room for one more in the new boat."
Yeah, so in that case, I'd probably like offer it.
Does anyone want to go fishing with Kelariis and her dad?
I think V wants to sort of like, because there's a little bit of like vegetation around, right? I think
Yeah.
he wants to sort of explore the sort of plant life around
Yeah.
the area.
Yeah. Yeah. Essentially, there's like a little the village borders onto like a small section of like almost like thin, brushy jungle. So you're gonna stay here and explore nature. What are the rest of you gonna do?
I have no idea.
I mean, if you
What would there be to do? Like,
not a lot.
Aside from going fishing with Kelariis, not much.
Yeah, there is very little to do here aside from fish, beach, swimming. You guys,
Go for a walk.
yeah, you guys could go. You guys could take the trip back into town and go and pick up the cart.
Okay,
Seems like a
We
good
could.
idea.
I'll do that.
Cool.
We also need to pick up the horses and stuff, I guess.
Oh yeah. That's what. Yeah, they're all in the same place.
Yeah, we'll go pick up all that.
Cool. Well, so V goes on a little expedition. The rest of you go to town, and Kelariis, you go fishing. You notice Kelariis, like as you go down to like the fishing dock, you see now why your father's boat is sort of like overturned and is sort of like being repaired, in that on the basically these are like sort of like if you've ever seen like a long canoe.
Yeah.
They're basically like long canoes, but built for like ocean travel, and they're all sort of like in a big rack that like by the side of the dock. And you see like a couple of ones that you recognize, and like a couple of old ones that have sort of been done up. And then there is a brand like a really well made new boat, and you start to realize that perhaps this is where the money that you sent ended up in getting a new boat for the family.
That's good.
So yeah, he sort of like gets it down, sort of sets it in the water, pulls up the oars, and you guys go fishing. I guess make me a survival check with
Oh boy.
help to see how well you do in fishing, because it's been a while since you last fished.
Oh boy. All right. Here we go.
That's pretty good.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, you're a little rusty, sort of like casting the net to start with, but after a while, you just sort of you get so into the sort of the classic rhythm of doing it and taking the boat and guiding the boat. But yeah, like your dad seems like fairly happy. He's sort of like sort of smiling and enjoying the time. And yeah, and you guys catch like more than enough fish by the middle of the day, so you stay out for a little bit longer, sort of like not really paying that much attention to the nets anymore, but still sort of like dragging them in occasionally with a couple of catches. Meanwhile, like the rest of you go off, get the cart, and make it back by the time that Kelariis is coming back in. V, is there anything that you kind of want to look for in the jungle, or are you just exploring?
Kind of exploring, looking at plants, looking at animals,
Okay.
taking notes.
Cool. Make me a survival check. Wow. Okay.
Look, I have +8 to survival.
You do have +8 to survival. Yeah, I'd say like you go through the forest, you find like a number of plants that are sort of completely like unknown to you, but through your kinship to nature, you can identify them to sort of work out what they are, what they do, and you find a couple that like actually might be useful for your whatever it is kit that you have.
Herbalism kit.
Herbalism kit, yeah.
Can I grow some in the little branches in my hair?
Yeah.
Yes! I'm thematic now.
Yeah. You theme up with some jungle plants. Cool. I guess yeah, you all group up in town at the end of the day.
I hope I don't get sunburned.
No.
Not under the shade of the trees, I would say. Kelariis does come back with like a little bit of a tan shade to her. Being out in the boat that long. But yeah, you meet up for the evening meal as you have done for the last time, and I guess my question to you is: do you want to stay any longer, or if you do, how long do you stay for?
That's a question.
I mean, if we stay any longer, V may as well stone a hut to stay in outside.
I mean, we're not going to like role play the days individually. I just kind of want to do this for scene setting.
I think. God, well, I mean, like, Kelariis is obviously a little biased towards staying a bit, but she probably looks to everybody else like, so when do we want to get going?
I mean, there isn't much to do around here, but like at the same time, V doesn't want to take you away from your family.
Not like we're gonna be back anytime soon.
Yeah.
Well, except you have to come back this way.
Yeah.
Well,
We
with
don't know how long
how
it'll be.
things have worked out for us, who knows how we're gonna get back.
Right?
It's true.
Oh no, another like half dimension.
Well,
Yeah.
or we decide to just go through what is it called, Underdark for some reason.
God,
Or
please
teleportation.
no.
Oh, yeah, teleport Zoop back.
Oh yeah.
So many options. So
It's like,
so
yeah,
many
see you guys on the way back. Just kidding.
So yeah, I don't know. It's up to you.
Ah, shit.
It's the problem in an entire party of
Although,
people
I
who
guess
don't mind.
I guess we'll stay like for 3-ish days. That seems like a nice time.
Like a week in total, basically. Or like
Yeah,
a work
something
week at
like
least.
Yeah.
Okay, if we're staying for a week in total, then V's definitely just gonna like wall of stone a hut outside.
Okay.
to stay.
V
I hope
V
nobody minds.
V spends an evening just like crafting a little hut out of stone.
It only takes like 10 minutes.
Can I admire her stoneworking?
Well, it takes 10 minutes, but don't you have to concentrate on it for a certain period of time?
Yeah, for 10 minutes.
Oh, for 10. Oh, yeah, okay. Okay, so
Rob.
V spends 10 minutes crafting a hut out of stone.
As a dwarf, Vondal is interested in this stone.
Okay.
I can make like
Stone
crenulations and stuff, so I can make it look pretty.
Oh, lovely. Yeah.
God.
Just it's like covered in like carved vines.
Yeah. Yeah, you make this little hut at like just outside the front of the house. It's serviceable.
And that's permanent.
That's permanent.
Oh boy.
Yeah, that's great.
Hmm.
Oh. Perhaps we'll look into it if it becomes a problem.
I mean, I don't think a small like hut outside of a house is gonna be an issue.
I mean, like,
It can be pretty big if I wanted to.
what is the diameter? Like, what is the size of it
There's
you can
no-
make?
What? I don't know. Big enough for me and Arya to sort of camp out in.
Well, yeah, I guess it's not super big then if you don't want it to be. But yeah, I guess you like
No, like,
you sort of
I don't
sculpt this, and you like Kelariis' dad comes out, and he's like, "Oh, you've made a little hut. How did you manage that?"
Magic.
Where did the stone come
Okay.
Magic.
Oh
Oh shit.
rip, Luka.
We've lost an American.
I like how you almost said the American.
Look, it's fine. Shut up.
So yeah, I guess. Kelariis' dad like seems confused. And is like, I guess I could find a use for it at some point when you guys leave. It's like a little tool shed or something. Hey, now he's got a place to do his work in that he doesn't have to do it in
Yeah.
Kelariis' room.
There you go. That's what I was gonna
Dad,
say.
Your shit doesn't have to be in my room anymore. She doesn't say it like that, but
He's got his own like little garden shed made out of stone.
Yeah.
Or it's a little fortress to play in.
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah?
Oh, look,
There's many
Quick, let's get-
every kid want their own castle, an actual stone castle.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
fair.
I can make that tomorrow if you want. Or can I make it now, actually? I have to spend sorcery points.
Could you make a little stone play area?
Oh,
Make a little fort out of stone. Sure. Okay.
Should we pretend to attack it?
I think we're already doing more than we should.
So yeah, it's like the thing that V made. It's like slightly larger than like a tent.
Yeah. It's like a yurt but made out of stone.
Yes.
It's like a decorative garden yurt made out of stone. Okay. Yeah, I think.
Size.
Yeah, you proposed the idea to Nabo of like having the fort be invaded, and he's like, yeah, okay, and like you just like you play around the garden and like some of you are the attackers, some of you are the defenders. Nabo gets bored after about 5 minutes and just starts playing boats inside the hut.
Oh.
It seems like he's not super fussed with the whole combat.
Yeah, he's a
sailor.
fish.
He's a fish boy.
There's
Fish boy.
There's-
Wait. I'm gonna play with Navo, and I'm gonna like, I'm gonna shape water, and he can put the boat on the water, and I'll move the water around and like in the air.
he is fascinated by this
Yes.
water manipulation.
Shape water's
Oh,
best
this is
cantrip.
great.
Yeah.
Very
Shape
good
water.
cantrip, actually.
You have made some excellent use out of shape water. I'll give you that.
Yeah. Noah definitely seems to take it more after his father than Kelariis.
Hmm.
Yeah. That's fair.
In fact, like the more you hang around with Kelariis' family, you really wonder where Kelariis gets it from, because it definitely doesn't seem to be anywhere.
Are you sure you're related, or?
Wow.
Wow.
Typical
God
Grim
damn.
thing to say.
Yeah.
I know
yeah,
it
that
is.
is so
We were,
grim.
you were born in this very house, so
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's probably a joke that Kelariis got a lot, though. It's like, man, I wonder if we're even related, because
Yeah.
it's like me going out wanting to fight, and everybody's like, "Yup, fishing."
well, everybody does military service in Dragonborn society. It's just that when you were told about it, you were like, yeah, I want to do that.
Yeah,
Oh, how did that go wrong?
Yep.
I know.
How indeed.
To be fair, the fighting was fine. It was everything else.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
It was the bureaucracy you had a problem with.
Yeah. Man, if we're staying for another 3 days, I probably have to have that conversation with my family, don't I?
Probably.
Yeah, definitely.
Shit.
Didn't think about that one, did you?
I don't think Kelariis would have thought about that either, because she's probably like, "Oh, family!
Yeah.
I haven't been here in like 4 years."
And she goes, "Oh shit! I should probably say these things." No.
No, yeah. She does that thing where she kind of like tries to avoid the conversation and fails miserably because she knows she has to have the conversation.
Yeah.
So yeah. It's great.
So how
Don't-
like tell me how that goes. I don't want to. I don't expect to have like the whole conversation, but
I think it's probably like after dinner? Question mark. One night, because like I can't really think of another time when they'd both be home.
Yeah, it's just yeah. You're all sort of like sat round the table, and like your mother goes to start like clearing stuff away, and then like V takes it off her and starts doing it, and then you just like you launch into the conversation.
Yeah, and it's like I think it's like a really hesitant and kind of like halting start, but then like you get going and you just go, and it kind of.
So what do you tell them?
Oh God.
You do it, girl.
I believe in you.
Like, do you want me to actually say it or like summarize it?
You can summarize.
Okay. I mean, I think she starts with when she's. I think she starts the whole conversation with how she started realizing that the army doesn't do everything she thought they did, and that she started disagreeing with stuff, and she'll probably say like specific things she remembers and tells the story of, you know, like the whole town where she met Tallithsyr. And I think like this is the first time the rest of the party actually hears it in detail instead of just like.
But are you explaining that in common or in draconic?
I think
Because you were telling your mother or your
Yeah.
father. Probably saying it
Well, I
in
told both of them,
draconic,
yeah.
right?
God, that's a good point. I think
mean-
it starts in common and then she probably switches like halfway through, realizing there's some things that I don't know if I can say to my parents in common that they'll.
They have a strong enough grasp of the thing that you can have the conversation in whatever language you prefer.
Oh.
Like if you want to involve the rest of the group, you can have it in common.
Okay. Oh yeah. If I know that they like. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I do because I want them all to hear it.
Yeah, as long as you're not like trying to explain like you maybe have to like when you talk about your ideals, you have to switch and sort of like explain a little bit.
Yeah, which is fine.
But yeah.
Yeah, and I think and she tells like the entire story of being in the town where like she met Tallithsyr and how all that went down.
Yeah.
Obviously from now her side of it instead of whatever the soldiers said.
Yes.
To them. I think she tells them minus the gory details about the blue dragon.
Okay.
And kind of like how that led to her leaving So I think she tells them everything except for like the gory details of that
Yeah.
because she doesn't want to like freak them out really bad.
Does she tell them about Tricerion?
I think she does.
Okay.
Because I think she does, and I think like I think that's the part that she's probably once she starts saying everything. I think that's the part where she stumbles a lot talking because she's like, "Oh God, like I didn't think it's telling me
Yeah.
through, but it's just kind of coming out, and oh, there it is now." So it just is, and I feel like she doesn't want to. Like she trusts her family,
Yeah.
so to her it's like, well, I want to be honest with them, and obviously my friends all know about this, so. Yep.
Yeah. I think you start telling them about Tricerion, and they at first they don't really understand because they don't know, they have no grasp on who Tricerion is.
Yeah.
But you go through it and explain to them, and I guess they look like they look almost like a little confused and concerned as you explain this.
Yeah.
Because, like, as would anything if your kid came to you and sort of said, "Yeah, I've started believing in this god and he gives me powers."
Yeah.
Sounds legit.
Sounds legit.
But you like,
Totally legit.
I guess you show them the sword and stuff.
Yeah. Oh, I definitely show the baton and just like be like, look, I did the glasswork. I'm proud of the glasswork. Look. Like look,
Yeah.
not like.
Yeah. Like they
Oh, I did that.
yeah, they're like they're definitely sort of like impressed that you've got like this handiwork. Yeah, I guess you finished the explaining and like you realize that they haven't like said anything for like the last like 30 minutes. And I think like they sort of like they look at each other for a moment, and like nothing is said between them, and then they just sort of like, I guess your mother sort of like reaches across the table and like takes one of your hands in both of hers, and she sort of says, I don't really know how to say this, but I can't say that I fully understand everything that's happened to you. I mean, I wasn't there, how could I? But we have always believed in you, in what you were capable of. And if you feel like this is the right thing for you to do, then it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. After all, you seem to have a perfectly good group of friends. You're happy, you're healthy. I can't ask for much more.
I have one question.
Go
I know
ahead.
This is like a really emotional moment, but if Kelariis went out fishing with her dad, surely she's not wearing like, if it's real hot, she's not wearing like a blue shirt. Would her father have seen the extent of how scarred his daughter is?
That's a good question.
Ooh.
I actually was thinking about that earlier because I was trying to think like, oh, her family probably does the thing where they basically sleep in the equivalent of underwear because it's warm
Yeah.
enough most of the time. I think Kelariis has avoided doing that because she doesn't want to like worry her parents. So I think even when she was out on the boat, Because like it's like the idea of she's not afraid to tell them, yeah, I went to go fight a blue dragonborn. She's not going to tell them that she literally almost died because that would freak them out, even though obviously she is okay now. I mean, you can still probably see because it's more of like a tank top kind of thing. But you can definitely see some of the scarring like where it's further up, but you can't. I don't think she like. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it gets questioned.
Okay, well, carry on.
Yeah, I was thinking about that because I was just like, her parents would probably have a great reaction to that. Oh no. Yeah, when they're like healthy, it's like most of the time.
Yeah.
You know, except for when I'm almost dead.
Yeah, well they don't know that.
Yeah, they don't know that. I conveniently left those bits out of the stories because I don't want to worry them. She doesn't play down the fact that when there were like hard times to fight, like it was hard, but I don't think she ever explicitly was like, yeah, I almost died.
I think during this whole scene as well, like Tallithsyr is just like sitting in the corner watching you, and you look over for a moment to catch her, and she's just like, I'm not crying, just like running down her face.
Oh no! I mean, honestly, by the end of it, when her mom says that, Kelariis is probably crying a little too.
Everybody cries a little bit.
Everybody cries.
Even V.
Well,
Yeah.
I'll put a hand on your shoulders.
Thanks. Just want to do good by all of you, and by my own ideals.
I now can't get this mental image out of my head of just V as washing the dishes and just like listening to the conversation, just crying softly, and just like Vondal comes in, just like puts a hand on your shoulder. She's like, I'm not crying, there's a splashing in water.
I mean, I think Vondal put his hands on the Kelariis' shoulders, right?
Oh, I just thought that it was yours.
Oh, I have no idea. Yeah.
Oh well. Anyway.
Both.
His hands are on
Ow.
someone's shoulders.
How?
Whoa.
Yeah, you can't
Not at
do
the same time.
you can't do it on V. V has to bend down for you to do that. Anyway.
Well, I'll do the usual thing of just
Yeah.
arm on
Patting
hand
legs.
on upper arm.
That's the arm.
Yeah, he doesn't go for legs. He like just,
Yeah.
He's not
like
that
holds
short.
your arm a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they don't press you any further unless you explain more.
I don't know if there's anything else. I can't think of it.
Not necessarily in terms of you could potentially go into like what you're aiming to do when you're done, but
Oh, I mean,
why you're here and stuff. But I don't think that they don't raise it if you don't say anything.
oh, I mean, if she brought out like the sword and stuff, she'd be like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, I'm looking for the other one down.
Oh,
south.
okay,
That's
yeah.
why we passed down this way.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
It's like that. It's like that really awkward kind of, like awkward but genuinely feeling it. I guess is the
Yeah.
way to explain it. Yeah. And I think, yeah, and I think at one point, I think at some point through all of it, she's like, "I'm sorry if I made things more by what I did."
Yeah. I think like your dad sort of like pulls you like in for a hug in response to that, and just sort of says that you did what you did. That's not for you to be concerned about.
Fucking hug time.
Okay.
Yep, it's just hug time. Kelariis is having a lot of feelings.
Yeah.
She feels bad, but she's really glad that like her parents aren't upset with her, and that they support her and her things that she's doing in life.
Yeah. They don't really know how to support you, but it's just sort of like, yes, we're here if you need anything.
Yeah. It's like the family support.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think that the rest of that evening passes very somberly. Yeah, and unless anyone wants to bring up anything in conversation with regards to what Kelariis has revealed, time will just pass until you're ready to move on. But
I think I'm very good.
Yeah, I'm fine.
okay, cool. So yeah, with that, you basically get to the end of the time period that you said you were going to stay, and you prepare to say goodbye to head back on the road past Borkarthel and on the road to Mardan. I do not believe... Oh, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, can I mention the fact that we just met, like, a random Dragonborn named Tallithsyr?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
What is like, are there people living down there? Did I not know about this? Like, I know I was gone for 4 years. That wouldn't have been the same night, by the way. That
No.
was just at some point during the time we were here. I
Yeah.
forgot.
Yeah, you mentioned that, and, like, nobody seems to have heard of her.
Sweet. And, like, they don't know of any
Just
actual settlements down that away.
yeah, I guess your dad sort of just shrugs and says, well, there's a couple of odd huts that just sort of litter the coast. Could be from one of those. I don't know. They don't usually come up this far. They usually go down the coast rather than coming up.
Well, fair enough. She's very nice. Good swimmer. Kelariis is only a little, like, salty
Yeah.
when she says that.
So, but yeah, he's like, yeah, that, I guess so.
Drugs.
Shrugs.
Oh, I thought you said drugs then.
Yeah, drugs.
Drugs.
420 blaze it.
Drugs?
No, that was
It was like 2
ago.
days.
I know,
Anyway.
but we gotta get the joke in there.
That's fair. Now we've dated
Yeah.
No, I was gonna say we've dated
we
it.
already dated them. We really
I know,
saw the
sorry.
day we recorded them.
Yeah, they're all
It's fine.
dated.
Anyway, sorry. I just had to ask.
God damn it.
Yeah.
On the
Yeah,
that somebody knew something.
No, but nobody has heard anything.
Damn it.
I suppose actually, technically, depending on how you define a day, they're released the day after we record them.
Well, whatever.
Anyway.
First.
So, you guys saddle up the horses, get the cart ready.
Sorry about
And-
the little hut that's there now.
It's okay. Yeah, and I guess you head back to Port Carthal to get some supplies. Because if I remember correctly, you guys need supplies.
Yeah,
Aye.
probably.
Probably,
ration.
yeah.
I have like one ration.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need this.
Yes, and it will take you at least 3 days to get to. In a cart. Yeah, about 3 days. 3.5 days.
Okay, which is it? No, I'm kidding.
So yeah, I guess if you buy supplies as you see fit, I don't think you need anything else.
Can I buy armor for the syrup?
Oh yes.
Because this is not gonna fly. 13 armor class.
Okay, so based on her gear, what do you want to try and buy for her?
I think I was just hold on, check.
Get her like some Swiss chainmail or something.
Yeah, I was thinking of just getting her
Swiss
chainmail,
chainmail.
but I need to check the price because I want.
I think
Yes.
she will die if you try to buy her something even more expensive.
Yeah, probably. Oh yeah, I can get 75. That's not.
Yeah, chainmail is not super expensive.
No, it's not like fucking plate.
No, plate mail is very expensive.
Oh, well, that's probably because plate mail is stuff on top of chainmail.
Yes.
Yeah.
Also, it has to be fitted.
I
Yeah.
could even buy her splint if I wanted to. I'm not going to, but I could buy her splint. And she could wear that. I'm so proud.
She could have better armor than Grim.
So proud
Yeah.
of her.
We could have.
No, I'm gonna get her chainmail.
We could be Splint boys.
Lit boys.
Splint
Okay.
boys.
Splint
I
boy.
get Splint, but I literally can't carry it.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Wow.
Grim would just like collapse.
Oh no.
Fighter that isn't even strong enough to wear heavy armor.
I mean,
Bad.
No.
So
that's
small.
well, you're a tactical man. You're not a. You're not necessarily a warrior.
Doesn't matter anyway, because Grim just never goes down. So who fucking
Yeah, I
knows
know.
if
Like
he
Grim
wears
just survives.
He's a survivor.
So you're buying her full chainmail heavy armor, yes?
Yes.
Cool.
Who needs armor when you've got willpower?
Okay.
He's like fucking,
Basically.
yeah. He's like the fucking generals in
Oops.
Total War where they get surrounded by like 4 soldiers and still survive somehow. It's like, god damn it.
Delete.
We should also buy an extra tent, probably. Now that we have so
Oh
many-
yeah, the tent.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yes, you can get extra 10 while you're here.
I'll check.
Oh.
So yeah, so Tallithsyr has now has 17 armor class instead of
I'll just
13.
buy 4 rations for myself, so I'm up to 5.
So
2
Okay.
gold, right?
yes, 4 rations is 2 gold.
Oh my god, I forgot how low my gold value was. It's okay.
Good, yeah, because she wants
While you're here and there is a blacksmith, does anybody else want anything in terms of armor, gear, weapons?
Zero doesn't use a shield, right? Because she fights two-handed?
She prefers to fight two-handed, yes.
Sorry, how long did you say it's gonna take us to get to the next place?
Like 3.5 days, maybe 4 days.
Okay.
I'll pay the 2 gold for the tents.
Okay. Also, Kelariis
2 whole
javelins.
gold.
Also, Grim, have you been paying...
Oh yeah,
Zudar.
yeah. Pay Zudar for a week of maintenance.
loitering around?
Also, Kelariis javelins.
Kelariis has
Oh.
javelins. She got them last time.
I have-
Okay. Just making
Well,
sure.
I have 2 now. So
How many rations are we gonna stock up to? Just
I bought 2 sets. so I ended
Four
up
per
with 5.
person. So
oh
Wow.
no, wait, I lost a javelin. Fine.
Yeah, because you threw one on the ship.
I'm gonna buy some extra. Just
I
because.
don't know if you got one to make up for the one you
Yeah.
threw while you're on the ship.
yeah,
I don't.
Because you definitely didn't get that back.
and any PHB items within reason you can buy in this town. So
I would like to buy 50 hand axes.
You're gonna have to wait a while.
what part of within reason?
That was the whole point, Ferrous. I wanted to say
I
something that
know.
was not within reason.
I know.
She's being a smartass.
Can I buy 25 sickles?
I almost asked where you're gonna put those, but then I remembered we have a bag of holding, so you can literally put them
Yeah.
there.
Yep.
Uh,
Because that way, unlike hand axes, it's almost a completely useless weapon.
Yep.
Well, I think I'm fine with just buying some rations and then getting on our way.
I think that's it.
Okay.
You know what? I'm actually gonna get us
Wait,
a hunting
Rob,
trap.
did I sell the short bow or not? Because I still have a short bow in my inventory, and I didn't delete it from my inventory.
I don't remember. So
No, fuck it, I'm just deleting it. I'm pretty sure I sold it.
okay.
I think I will get us a hunting trap just because whenever we're on the road, we always.
I think you already own one. I think Arya has one.
Do we?
I
Yes.
think Arya used it against a troll once.
She did.
Yeah.
I did.
But is it reusable?
Yes. Yes, I believe
I
so.
imagine it's one of those
Okay, well then we have one.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Should put that in the bag of holding.
Is it not in there now?
I don't know. If it isn't, just add it because I'll delete mine after my inventory.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like 25 pounds.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
fucking heavy. So
It's a really heavy hunting strap.
I remember I wanted one originally, but then I was like, I can't carry that.
It's okay, Grim. Now you can.
I can carry everything.
You can carry everything now. You don't have to have Kelariis carry your shit. Like when we first started.
All the things being added to the bag.
Yeah, because Helena talking about the fucking shortbow just reminded me I've still got a fucking crossbow which I never use. Let's go shove that in there.
Alright, well, with your shopping completed, I guess you guys hit the road.
What was it that Hayasa gave me? Like pink coral?
Oh yes, pink coral, yes.
A literal crap ton.
The shells and rocks.
I meant to say town.
A literal crap ton of seashells and rocks. Perfect.
Gotta love the bag of holding.
Yes. Definitely being used for its intended purpose.
I also
We have so much shit in there.
I also quite like souvenirs from cats, whatever the fuck.
Yeah, I did never remember that fucking town's name. Casport?
Casport, yeah.
Passport.
I don't know how to spell that.
CAST.
And then just ports?
Yes. Yes.
Inventory management done.
Done.
Hooray.
Nothing makes me happier.
So excited.
So, road.
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 Hit
Road.
the road, Jack.
I see we both went for two very different road
Yeah.
themes.
Yes.
Very different song choices.
The road to Mardan is it winds a short distance through the jungle. So your first 2 nights or so are spent camping in jungle terrain, and it's kind of an unnerving experience when you first camp in the jungle because there's all sorts of jungle beasties out there. But there is, as you travel, you notice that, like, basically on either sides of this is quite clearly a fairly decently well-traveled road. And basically there have been two wide ditches that are sort of like they are sloped, that they slope down and then are steep on either side of the road. That actually sort of like it isolates the road in the sense that there's no trees or undergrowth that like come up to the road itself. So it's well fortified against sort of like the encroachment of nature and therefore creatures. And as you are traveling, you also notice that there are a number of military patrols that go up and down this road. So it certainly seems to be like well cared for. On the 3rd day of traveling, you hit essentially like you come out of the come out of the jungle terrain into a wide open, very arid looking landscape that leads off into the distant desert. And on your right as you walk down this road, you can see in the distance a winding, very wide river that snakes through the desert. That is the only signs of any sort of things growing in the desert. You pass a Dragonborn checkpoint, much as you did when you entered, and except that this time they sort of again they take your names and your business and you move on. And after the third day of traveling, you set up camp in the more arid desert terrain. And as you set off on the fourth, on the fourth day, it immediately becomes apparent where you are headed, as a heat haze that rises off the desert itself, and partly to do with the presence of the water and the greenery. The desert itself almost becomes like a mirror haze of the large city that you can see in the distance. There you go. And yes, you can see ahead of you, with wagon trains filtering in and out of it, the ancient city of Mardan. I say ancient city. By human standards, ancient city.
I was gonna say, is it really that I know?
It's only been around for like 800 years.
That's a baby
Wow.
city.
Yeah.
That's like 2 generations of elves.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
If that.
I know.
But yes,
Well, that's a big city.
it is a big city. But it's from looking at it from a distance, it doesn't have the height that Argentellrund had, but it definitely has like the capacity of people. It's very very wide, very sprawling. And as you approach as you come down the road into sort of like the basin that like runs around the outer walls of the city, probably about like another couple of hours walk to the city, you come across a man who seems to be stranded on the side of the road with a bunch of bags that he is piling up onto a very strange animal. I'd like all of you to make me a nature check. Okay.
I think that's the first roll I've made this whole session.
So,
It is.
Arya, Vondal, and V, through a number of stories that you've heard during your past, it has been brought to your attention the existence of an animal called the camel.
Oh my god.
Gasp.
Ship of the Desert is its sort of more characterful name. But yes, you meet a man on the side of the road who is loading up a camel with bags, and the camel very resolutely seems to just be kneeling down on the ground and doesn't seem in any hurry to go anywhere. The man in front of you has the darkest skin of any humanoid that you've ever seen.
God damn it, here he is.
Well then.
And he is clean shaven and wearing a turban. So I guess as you guys get slightly closer to this man, you can hear it like a sort of like a faint mumblings from this man as he seems to be incredibly frustrated with something.
Should we
I
stop
guess-
and off help?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I might as well.
So you guys come up in your wagon. You greet this man by the side of the road, and he sort of like he jumps a little as you sort of address him, But he sort of like he goes, "Oh, goodness me!" and like sort of adjusts his turban, turns around and says, "Ah, a pleasure to greet you, travellers. Dagran Mashumpty at your service.
Oh god.
Or I would be if my accursed camel would get up out of the sand for a moment and help me carry the last of these goods."
Well,
V?
I guess yeah,
Yeah.
like, guess we could ask the camel what's up.
Yeah, okay. You will just walk over to the camel and just be like, "Hey friend, is there a reason why you're not helping your human friend over here?"
The camel sort of like looks at you like lazily and just sort of says, "I'm having a break."
Why is he cockney?
Why is the camel cockney?
Oh god.
Oh god.
Well, you can have a break when you get into the city. It'll be much nicer there, and you can drink stuff and eat stuff, and you won't have to sit out and eat.
I don't mind the heat.
But you do like food.
Yeah, and
There'll be food in the city.
give me a persuasion check.
Also, again, you guys can just hear half of this conversation.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh shit!
Wow.
Can we
31.
talk about the two ends of like two?
I know!
ends here?
Yeah.
Also, the fact that a natural 1 for V is a
It's 12. Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
31 on persuasion.
Fuck,
31 on
cute.
You
social.
could like charm that camel into doing whatever you wanted.
Right?
Get wrecked, camel.
He sort of like he regards you with a long stare for a moment and sort of says, "All right, Barnacles, you asked nicely." Stands up, and Dagran like looks at this in like utter surprise. He says, "Well, never in my lifetime have I seen something like this. Forgive me. May I have the honor of knowing your names? It is rare that I meet such interesting folk on the road."
My name is
Yes.
V.
V, a pleasure.
Well, if Grim.
Reaches out to shake your hand. As he turns to shake your hand, Grim, he notices Zudar behind you, and he says, "Oh, and you travel with a Rafiki. It is an honor indeed." At which point Zudar holds up his hand and goes, no, I am afraid not. I am a local, actually." Really? But you still wear the garb. Ah, no matter. I can respect a man who knows his traditions. I tell you what, friends. If one of you can help me... no, wait. Seeing as you helped me get my camel back in motion, I'd very much like to accompany you and find out where it is that you have come from and exactly what it is that you've brought you here to my beautiful home.
Okay.
Sure.
Sure.
May as well.
Okay. He sort of like grabs hold of the beaded strap that like is by the side of the camel and sort of like leads the camel as you like travel alongside him. So yes, presumably introduce yourself to Dagran Rashumti.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. We're gonna say something? Minnie?
No, I wasn't. Nothing specific.
Oh, okay.
I thought you asked like. Never mind.
Well, yeah. So Dagran seems quite eager to get to know you, and he introduced himself. Dagran Rashumti, trader extraordinaire and resident alchemist of Mardan.
Oh, an alchemist.
Yes, indeed. I have many potions for sale, and I have a small side business of making certain things to order, medicines and the like mostly. But occasionally people have me make little concoctions for their own uses.
I've made medicine once.
Oh, really? Tell me more.
Well, me and Arya went like troll hunting because we needed like troll blood. And it was kind of complicated, but I had some help, so it was okay.
Ah,
I made this elixir.
Do you show it to him?
Yes.
Yeah, which you presumably still have.
Oh, okay.
I haven't used any fucking potions ever.
Yeah, he examines it and says, "Oh, that is some talent indeed. You may even rival my own."
Oh, that's really nice.
Yeah, but like at this point, like there's a little glimmer in his eye, but he says, "Ah, but have you ever seen one of these?" And he produces from the side saddle of the camel an arrow.
Is it special?
Give me an investigation check.
It's just a fucking arrow.
Have you ever seen an arrow? No.
Oh my, it's just an arrow.
You're like, yes, I have. It's an arrow.
Arya has many of those.
Ah, but not quite like this one. I wager. And he pulls he pulls the pin holding the arrow in place out, pulls away the shaft and shows you the head. And as he shows it, particularly to you, Arya, you notice a very distinct difference in the design of the arrow. And it almost seems to have a small, like, little glass bubble built into the head of the arrow.
What?
Oh.
Poison tips. Or something. Some sort of.
Do you say that to him?
Yeah.
Yeah. He says, close, but not quite.
What's on it then?
Well, quite simply put, anything I wish. I have devised a special method of these arrows, that when you fire them, they can carry with them charges of liquid ingredients, some of which I am still experimenting, but many of which you perhaps, as travellers yourselves, may be familiar with. Perhaps alchemical fire, or acid, or even holy water for the undead.
Oh, shit.
I also have my own special project, but if you wish to see that, you would have to come by my shop.
Interesting. I've never seen an arrow quite like this, I have to say.
Ah, that is because there are no such arrows that exist like it. I patented the design myself.
Arya's like real into these arrows. Can you imagine how cool it would be to have fucking like Greek fire on the end of your arrow?
Yep.
Oh man.
Be really cool.
Although it's not really Greek fire in this world.
Well, whatever. It's the same concept.
There are no Greeks.
There are no Greeks.
It's Kalashtan fire. or
That's my first
Kalashitan
reaction
fire.
Background.
Yeah, there you go.
Read too much fucking teen fiction.
Yo, same.
Glad someone agrees.
Yeah.
Do you sell these arrows?
Ah, yes, for the right price.
How much?
He sort of he rifles through like the same pack he pulled the empty head from, and says, I have a small number of these on me right now. I tend to sell them for about the alchemical fire arrows. The compound is a little more difficult to come across. I usually retail those about 50 gold apiece.
Oh my fuck!
The acid and holy water variants are a little easier to come across. They retail about 25 gold each.
50 gold.
My special project is a little bit on the pricey side, but if you come by, I might even be able to give you a demonstration. I've recently got in some new stock.
I think I'd be interested in seeing that. Even if I'm never gonna buy these fucking arrows, Jesus.
Well, like, there's
Be
the same price
loaded.
as potion versions.
Yeah, they are the same prices as the regular version.
Yeah, but like Helena, I can afford right now
What?
six fire arrows. That's how much I can afford, and that's all my gold.
Well, you don't have to buy 6 of them. It would be like, if we ever fight like undead, you would like to have a holy water arrow.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they don't have to use it unless we find undead.
Yes. Also,
Basically-
alchemical fire arrows are really good because basically they are 1d4 fire damage every round until your target spends an action to extinguish themselves.
Oh shit.
Yeah, and then they have.
Yeah. Oh, and even then they have to make a DC 10 saving throw.
Yeah, the DC is not impressive, but the rest.
But the major advantage of having them as an arrow is normally you can only throw them from 20 feet away. With this, you can fire them at arrow range.
Which is like
That's
so
far.
fucking long.
Yes.
20 feet.
150.
150
Yeah,
or
even
or 600 at max.
Yeah. Which is just crazy, but I think Arya could do it if she tried.
But yes, yeah, you pass like an hour's walking towards the gates of Mardan, talking to Dagran. Yeah, he seems particularly interested in sort of like, oh, what are you in Mardan for?
Lux and Kelariis.
We're looking for something of historic note. You know, my actual notes, because I
Yeah.
don't remember any of the names.
Oh
You
yeah,
gonna tell him the actual name?
Well,
Well,
regardless,
it's a famous historical event that happened here. So
yeah, like I'm not saying why I'm
Yeah.
looking at this stuff.
he says, a historian. I have a passing interest.
You could say that.
Oh no, he says he has a passing interest.
Oh no, that
No,
he
but-
said a historian because I was like,
Oh, yeah.
no, not
Oh
really.
right, yeah, okay.
Hold on.
God,
like,
Rob.
excuse me while I flip through like
Yeah.
an entire notebook's worth of physical notes to find it.
Yes.
Vondal's probably the biggest.
The name I think you're looking for is Jasmal Pashar.
Yes,
Yes.
that's the name. I knew it started with a J.
Yeah.
That's close.
Jayla.
Thanks.
It's Jayla.
Yeah, it's
Jayla
me.
Bashar.
Jayla.
Little did you know, guys. I'm
Mhm.
actually a historical figure of note.
Shit.
Ah.
This world.
Why didn't you tell me?
The universes are crossing over.
Shit.
Slowly but surely.
Alright.
That's gonna be
Yeah.
our next. That's gonna be our
So
next
yeah,
episode.
do you ask him about Jasmal Pashar?
Yeah, or if he knows where I could find info.
Ah, yes, you are interested in the old stories. Yes, I am of passing familiarity with it. When we get through the main gate, keep your eyes open.
Oh?
He doesn't say anything more than that, unless you prod him.
What a mysterious and vague person.
Yeah.
Well, I
will
think
keep my eyes up.
well, one thing I think Vondal's probably gonna say is like sort of, speaking of getting through the city gates, is there anywhere you could recommend we stay, since we will need accommodation, of course.
Yeah, he says, oh, well, what sort of a price range are you looking?
Sort of middling, average. Nothing too flash, but comfortable.
Well, it's something that is like just a decent bed. I don't think we're not too picky. Preferably.
I mean, we are in a desert, like.
Perhaps we should go a little fancier so we can maybe find somewhere where they've like discovered the techniques of cooling.
Discovered techniques of cooling.
Yeah, he says, well, if you're looking for something a little more upmarket, I recommend the Eye of Bahalat.
Where's that at?
He says, yeah, when we get to the city, I will point you more precisely. But essentially, if you go into the second district, there are two districts in Mardan. The first district, which is the runs the skirts of the outer wall, and then when you go inside, there is the second district, which is a little bit more upmarket. There are a lot more merchants and temples and things like that. And my shop is located just on the border. It's not exactly prime real estate, but you take what you can in this business. But yes, if you head into the second district, it is essentially just before the Temple Quarter.
Good to know.
Well, but I guess we'll be sure to stop by your shop.
I would certainly appreciate the custom. You will not be able to miss the Eye of Bahala. There is a large statue of a cat at the front.
Okey-dokey.
Yes. So, as you enter or reach the gates, there are a number of sort of like fairly elegant looking guards who are covered almost entirely head to foot in like a sort of it's a greenish leather of a like you can't tell like what kind of leather it is by examining it, like sort of just looking at it. It's not a kind of leather you've ever seen before. But yeah, they are all covered in like a sort of like thin green leather armor, and they are all holding long pikes, but they've basically got like a little the pike head is like turned into like a two-pointed hook. For any of you who have any military background, basically these are spears that are designed to allow an infantryman to like unseat a horseman with relative ease. But yes, you see a number of those guards standing around the gate, and then as you enter through the gate, you can see the city itself. And yes, and the street that you enter through looks very similar to that. It winds up through a series of much smaller buildings up towards a centre district, which has like a number of buildings with large domes and are they minarets, like the little like egg-like things? I think they're minarets.
I think
Something like that.
Yeah, I forget the specific word. But yes, when you get to the end of the gate, Dragon bows to you and says, "Well, I think this is where we must part for now. I have one last business transaction to do before I head back to my shop. So,
guess we'll see you over the course of the next couple of days.
I look forward to us meeting again."
Probably because there's like so much sand and not much like flowers and plants and stuff. She's probably like constantly like druid crafting flowers. She's like, oh.
Well, as you get closer to the city, you do notice that basically on the far side of the city, there must be like some sort of like small dock that leads out into the river, and there's a number of farms that are down by like the fertile land by the river, and there are actually like a number of trees that grow within like specific bits of the city. So there is a little bit of plant life around, but it's almost all like desert accustomed wildlife.
Cacti.
It's not quite as colorful as back home.
It's not quite as colourful, no, but the green is a welcome change from the yellow.
Yeah, God.
Cool. So, you find yourselves at the gateway to Mardan. I'd like all of you to make me a perception check.
Keep your eyes open, guys.
Keep them peeled. B is not doing a great job. Neither is Kelariis of that.
Okay.
I think you're the
Well.
only one that did the decent job.
So,
Vondal's
you are almost all overwhelmed by sort of like the number of like almost all of the buildings here are made out of like a pale whitish beige stone, but many of them are sort of like painted on the outside in bold blues and reds and yellows, to to look like different from their surroundings, and there is a lot of bustle, and to your surprise, a lot of people walking around that look like you guys, in that they are armed to they are sort of armed and armored, and they seem sort of like adventuring types. And there are a lot of them sort of just like wandering around the streets alongside like the regular civilians who are all like wearing sort of cowls and headdresses and things. Arya, however, you notice what Dagger meant when he said to Kelariis, keep an eye out when you go up through the main gate. As, basically there is a large, there is a large, step up between like the two districts that you can see in the distance. It's like maybe 15-20 minutes walk down this long path. And you can see like an archway that leads into the second district, and on the basically on the crest of the arch there is a carving of a woman holding a spear and striking a martial warrior's pose with this spear, which you don't know who this figure is, but from your guess, you would estimate that it is this historical figure.
I see. I guess I pointed out to Kelariis.
Oh shit.
Yeah, you see a woman in a martial warrior's pose holding a spear.
Huh. Well, she clearly was. Well, I guess I kind of knew that she was actually like kind of revered as a hero of the city. Anyway,
Yes.
I knew that from before, but I guess like seeing it's different
Yes.
as opposed to it just being like
Yeah.
legend revered.
Yeah. This is also the first statue to anyone that you've ever seen who had an affiliation to Tritherion.
Oh yeah, that's true. Well, shit, that's cool.
That's dope.
That's really cool. And like, Kelariis is probably just like looking at it because that's really cool.
Yeah.
First place where they don't shit on my deity.
Also,
Right?
as you regard this, you realize that up close this must be huge, because you're like 15 minutes walk away from this thing and you can see the details on it.
Oh god.
Damn. It's not just
Awesome.
like a little shitty statue either. It's a big ass
No, it's a
statue.
big ass statue.
Yeah, I didn't even take into account the distance.
Yeah.
Wait, is there any like from what we can see from here? I guess if we can see the detail, we can just see it. But like, is there Tritherion symbol on there at all, or is it just?
Difficult to tell from this distance.
Okay, fair enough. Because if
Okay.
like that's something that's prominently displayed, then I probably wouldn't have an issue going around talking about it. But if it's
Okay.
not, then
Oh, I guess we just have to get closer.
well,
Okay. Cool. So you begin to walk towards the statue, and we will take a brief break for the sake of the recording.